let's start first. What's your name?
Hank Babij,
Okay, now spell your last name for me.
B-A-B-I-J.
Okay.
The J is kind of silent. Well, they
Okay.
don't pronounce the J back in those in Eastern European.
Okay.
Okay. Where do I start? The way it was told to me by my parents is they were married in, I think, 38 or early part of 39.
Okay.
Right before, maybe even before that, because the war broke out, 1939.
Okay.
Didn't take the Germans come in real quick and conquer Poland.
Right.
And Poland was an ally of Britain, so Poles thought that the Brits was going to come in and help them, but no. So as soon as war broke out, the Russians came in from the eastern side.
Okay.
And there was a line of demarcation. My parents lived on the Russian side.
Right.
Well, the Russians come in, anybody under a certain age got arrested. For what, they say?
Right.
Espionage, they make up everything, just to get you into the gulag.
Right.
You're in the resistance, you're this, you're that. So my father was telling me, everybody's getting 10 years. He said he heard a guy behind him cry, "Oh, 10 years, 10 years." And he turns around and tells him, "We're not even going to be here a year or a year and a half." So he goes up to the guy on the desk, and the guy says, "What do you got to say for yourself?" He says, "Give me something to smoke." So the guy rips up a piece of newspaper, pours about a wad of tobacco, rolls it up, and says, "Here you go, get going."
Right.
Okay, they got sent up to a camp.
Right.
The guards didn't have any arms or anything like that, because where are you going to go? I mean,
Right.
seriously.
Right.
Now, my mother, after a couple of months, she figures, I don't know where my husband is, no communication, no anything. I want to see if I can go back to my parents, which were on the German side.
Okay.
So she tried to sneak across the border, gets caught by the Russians, gets sent to the women's camp. Nobody knows where my mother is, nobody knows, no communication, no anything. Sure enough, September of 39, when Operation Barbarossa came in, and the Germans start coming across, all the guards in both camps, "We're getting out of here, you're on your own." Well, my father couldn't go to the German side, and he couldn't go to the Russian side because they're the ones that arrested him.
Right.
So the only thing he could do is go south.
Right.
Still not know where my mother is. Everybody's just trying to save their own skin.
Right.
So somehow he made it to Iraq. And since Poland and England were allies, he joined up with the British military.
Okay.
Okay, he was a sergeant there, an artillery sergeant. And he got, I think he was in the African campaign or something. He got wounded, not too bad or whatever it was. And my mom somehow made it to Iraq, and still not knowing who was where.
Wow.
And she joined up with the British military, but in the nursing corps.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and since she wasn't a nurse, they did all the menial labor, like change the sheets, the
Right.
bandages, and potty pot, whatever
Right.
they did, just to help
The
out.
AIDS, yes.
Well, apparently, when my dad got wounded and she was in a nursing corps, I mean, there was a lot of women, a lot of wounded. They look at the name and he says, "Hey, there's somebody over here with your the same name, named Stefan, S-T-E-F-A-N, Stefan, or Steve."
Right.
I, look him up. And she goes, "Oh, he's laying in such and such a ward, such and such a bed." Sure enough, there's my dad.
Wow. How cool.
And apparently he recovered, and they got together, and after they got together, here I am, 9 months later,
Wow.
born in February in 1943 in Tel Aviv,
Okay.
and I lived there for, I think we were there 4 years.
Okay.
But that was like British occupied Palestine. There
Right.
was no Israel, there was, anything. everybody got together.
Mm-hmm.
The Jews and the Arabs, everybody lived together,
Right.
fine and dandy. And we lived, I remember living in Ramallah,
Mm-hmm.
and Rehovot. I don't know where it is, right? It could be right on the Palestinian side.
Right.
And my sister was born also in Tel Aviv in November of '46. I think we left there because there was, after the war, everybody was just getting dispersed.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't go back to Poland because it was Russian.
Right.
Germany was devastated. They weren't German.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way, you're in a displaced person camps.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go to Germany and bounce around, like 1948 or something like that. And they had to get checked out medically. And to come to this country,
Mm-hmm.
you had to have a sponsor.
Oh.
Somebody that's here already,
Mm-hmm.
that will vouch for you, that will give you a place to live,
Right.
promise of a job,
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Right.
And that's the way you came to this country. And we flew across. There was no TWA or anything. It was the Flying Tigers.
The Flying Tigers.
And my mother still had the passes from the
Wow.
Flying Tigers.
Cool.
She passed away in 11.
Uh-huh.
She was 102.
Whoa.
And she had the pictures of her military pictures,
Wow.
her medals,
Yes.
and the passes and everything all on display, and people were amazed.
I bet.
But the one story that I remember,
Mm-hmm.
I was about 4, maybe 4.5 years old. I was playing on the floor, and my dad was talking to another war buddy, somebody that maybe that wasn't in Palestine. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember those words. He said, I think it was, I still got the picture, of me sitting on a donkey in that Arab,
Mm-hmm.
holding that donkey. I was maybe about 1.5 years, 2 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, show him that picture, and he told him this story. He says, I rented a room from this man.
Mm-hmm.
And this man asked me, are you a Muslim? Are you a Jew? Or are you a Christian? And my dad says, well, I'm a Christian. Why do you ask?
Mm-hmm.
He said, if I don't see you go to a mosque on a Friday, a synagogue on a Saturday, or a church on a Sunday, Monday morning I'm going to ask you to find yourself another place to rent.
Wow.
And my father says, why? He says, if you have no respect for God, how will you have respect for me?
Wow.
And even to this day,
Yes.
I say a prayer for this man.
Right.
Every day.
Uh-huh.
I say for my mother, my father, all my
Right.
relatives, and he's included.
Well, yeah.
And I never forgot that. And I always tell that story, and people are amazed.
Wow.
Little books like that is what got me asking questions.
Oh, really?
That were written in the Greek and
Uh-huh.
Hebrew letters.
Right.
And that's how because he's got this one book that
That's for excellence in religion.
Oh, cool.
I got that in 7th grade or something.
Uh-huh. Cool.
That's written both with English subtitles,
Uh-huh.
with a Cyrillic, I think it's using Greek alphabet,
Uh-huh.
and what Cyrillic is Greek alphabet.
Okay.
And there's English subtitles, or English underneath, so in case.
Right. Well, I mean, it looks. But I mean, so you're Catholic?
Yeah,
Me too.
yeah.
Cool.
I went to a Catholic school, got that in there, and
Mm-hmm.
Ukrainian Catholic.
Uh-huh.
So, and then of course my father was a Ukrainian Catholic or Orthodox.
Right.
Well, don't call it Orthodox because Orthodox don't belong even the Pope, but everything's the same.
Right.
And my mother was a Roman Catholic.
Okay.
And there was no such thing with a Polish Roman Catholic.
Right.
There was no such thing. Oh my, I don't feel like going to church. on
Oh, I know
Sunday."
that feeling. Yep.
And I said that I made a mistake of telling her that one time, and she says, if you don't get up and go to church, you're going to get a wet mop in your face.
Wow.
Stinking mop.
Oh, that sounds.
And I got a wet mop in my face.
Oh,
And
my
that was the
goodness.
last time I ever said no.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
I thought my mom was pretty tough.
Oh, yeah. And then we bounced around Germany from place to place and place to place, and finally had a sponsor. Stopped over in Spain to get on a transatlantic flight. Went to Toronto, Canada, and then from Canada went to New York.
Okay.
With a train went to Philadelphia, which we lived in. Everybody had their own neighborhoods back. You had the Germans had their, the Italians had their,
Right.
the Chinese had their, and everybody got along fine.
Right.
And we as kids used to wander from place to place. You pick up a little Chinese, you pick up a little
Right.
little German, which were, I would say, not choice words, but
Right.
you pick up
Right. Exactly.
as kids.
Uh-huh.
But we lived in Philly there for a while. Moved up to North Philadelphia to get away from the slums, I should say.
Right. Right.
And I guess we lived there for about 10 years, and then it was tight, row homes, hot asphalt,
Right.
no air conditioning.
Oh goodness.
So we bought a place over in New Jersey, about maybe 20 miles outside of Philadelphia. Built a house there, and we lived in that house over there, and it's been there ever since. And then when my dad passed away in '74, he was only 72 years old.
Wow.
But bad heart, kidney messed up,
Right.
and things like that. And then my sister's living there, and and then I met up with her mom. My daughter's, she was from Arkansas or Alabama or whatever it was. And we lived in it was a big house in a development, bought it in about '78 when prices were cheap.
Right.
And we lived there for a while until she got married. And then she said, and it was only the two of us, big house, 4-bedroom,
Right.
with the balcony and
Right.
the upstairs, a slanted roof, and fire. Beautiful house.
Right.
Too much to heat, too much to cool, and
Right.
the taxes keep going up every year.
Right.
And then she got married, and she says, I'm going to have a little one. My wife says, I want to be with my kid. So let's sell the house.
Okay.
I said, okay. We moved down here in Alabama, bought this house, whatever. We sold that house for twice what we had paid for it,
Right.
and paid half for this house.
Right.
So I had no mortgage, no car payments, and nothing.
Right.
And I finally got a job as a machinist, which I've been with them for over 25 years,
Cool.
and been here ever since. So, and I love it down here.
Right.
And my brother, he got fed up, and it was about, I said, come on down to Alabama. Because, his son and daughter were married and things like that. I said, come on down here. So he came down here in '03, looked around, and he liked it.
Right.
It wasn't flat like Jersey
Right.
and congested.
Yeah.
So he moved down here in '04 and stayed here till 11 or 12. And then he turned around, he had a lot of money invested in that house that he bought.
Right.
And so he finally sold it, moved down to Texas, and I asked him, well, and it's a retirement community.
Right.
They've got these little, these two-wheeled ride-arounds
Right,
and
yeah.
a little golf course and
Yes.
everything. And then I said, how do you like Texas? He says, I like Texas, but I miss Alabama.
Oh, wow. I bet.
He says, I don't know what it is. Not too far to the store. I don't
Right.
have to. In Jersey, he was like a mile away from the store. It took him a half an hour because of the traffic.
Dang.
Ever since the casinos moved in,
oh, yeah.
everything is just overcrowded.
Right. Right.
Peach orchards were gone, cornfields were gone, just houses and houses and
Right.
houses. Take him a half hour to go to the store and a half hour just to drive 1 mile.
Wow.
He says, over here, I go over there and I'm back at the store in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
5 up, 5 back.
This man, Sharon, this man didn't get married, he was 35?
Huh?
35 when you got married?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was 35, he hated children.
Uh-oh.
Somehow, I don't know, we clicked.
Because he missed all the crappy years, the
Yeah.
time changes and
But
terrible
this,
twos
but
and-
this man that hated children,
Uh-huh.
suddenly he gets 2 grandchildren.
Oh, boy.
You have never seen a man so flip-flop.
Oh, really?
In your life.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the sun rises and so,
Oh,
you
of
know,
course.
he's like this.
Yep. Them grandbabies are.
I don't know,
something
I don't know what it was. I don't know, I had about the greatest
No.
grandson in the world. Well, both the kids were great.
Uh-huh.
I wish I could go back
We can't do
25
that one
years
without
or
the
something
other.
like that. And
Right, yeah.
that's about it. That's it. Then I moved to Alabama. Been here about almost 30 years. Love every minute of it.
Wow.
And I got a nephew that's graduated teaching college over in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
In the summertime, he went down to Charleston
Mm-hmm.
and started doing landscaping on the side. And he turned around, loved it.
Huh.
He never went back to New Jersey. And then a couple years ago or something like that, he was going to go up and visit his mom. He got about 50 miles up the road, and he's thinking and thinking and thinking. He made a U-turn and came right back.
Wow.
He says, I hate New Jersey. It's
Huh.
so overcrowded.
Right.
All the roads are changed around. Used to be 2 lanes, now it's 4 lanes, full
Really?
of traffic lights. And they go, nah. Turned right around and came back.
Well, that's cool, though.
You know, I speak fluent Ukrainian.
Uh-huh.
I understand, I can read Russian,
Uh-huh.
but the names are different for certain things.
Right.
So I probably couldn't, but I can understand
Right.
Russian. Speak fluent Polish.
Uh-huh.
I knew Arabic.
Read Greek.
I can
Wow.
read Greek.
Hmm.
And, well, with the Cyrillic, if they wrote it in Greek and I understand what it means, yeah.
Right.
But if it's written in Russian, what you use is the same alphabet, but they got different names, like they would have a different name for a couch
Right.
or an automobile. You know.
Right.
But certain words I can pick up.
Right.
And like a couple of years ago, they had a show. Right after the tornado, they had an air show over there at Coleman Airport,
Right.
and they had planes on display. We had this one Russian plane, a trainer, and I looked inside, and on the instruments it was written in Russian,
Uh-huh.
and I could understand.
Wow.
You know what it is? Sight, left, fuel.
Right.
You know, I could read
Neat.
that.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a little bit of German, which I forgot. I forgot Arabic.
Right.
Because, you know, I'm 4 years old, I played with the Arab kids, and I miss the Arab food, especially.
Oh, really? Was it good?
Did you ever try barbecued goat?
No.
Oh my God, that is so good.
Really?
That is so good.
Huh.
I had, when I lived in New Jersey,
Uh-huh.
there was a woman, a black woman who became a nurse. She was from Jamaica,
Okay.
an RN. I got invited to a barbecue, and they have barbecued goat.
Mm-hmm.
He says, try this. What is it? She says, goat. And I never, you know,
Yeah.
I took one bite of that. I go, oh my God, that reminds me of a kid when I used to be in Palestine.
Uh-huh.
And over there, the Arabs didn't have dining room tables.
Right.
They just roll out a rug,
Right.
put a big bowl of whatever it is in the middle, and you got this big round pita bread.
Okay.
Real fluffy.
Right.
And you just break up the edges, you squeeze it together like a giant tortilla, and you just pick it up and you just stuff the stuff
Wow,
into
really?
it, and that's
And
the way
eat
you
it,
eat it.
Cool.
And chicken, lamb, and barbecued goat.
Wow.
I said, oh, I miss that. Plus all the other veggies that went along with it.
Yeah.
But I remember that.
Do you still have people over there? Or family over there that you know of?
Well, my mom went to Poland. She was 96 or 97.
Touring. In 90s.
Right.
Yeah, my sister went
If
with
I could pee by myself
I know,
at that age,
right?
I'd be good.
And you know, she saw my father's relatives and whoever was still alive, because
Right.
most of the family died off. She was the oldest one out of
Right.
everyone. And she went to see this one, went to see that one. Yeah, how you doing? Fine and dandy. And then came back. Then so, and about 2 years later, she says, Mom, why don't you go for another visit? She says, you know, who am I going to visit?
Right.
Everybody that was close to me, my friends, my
Right.
sisters, my brothers, everybody's dead.
Right. Right.
He says, even in this country, I had a night, she said, her and another Polish lady were close. She had a son named Henry, the same as I am, a year older than me, and she passed away, no longer. And he said, there's nobody to see.
Right.
He says, that's the disadvantage of getting old. Everybody you love and see just dies.
Right. Right.
And when she was 102 and 7 months, almost 103. And amazing things about it is, she never had a sick day in her life.
Really?
The only time she was in the hospital, she slipped on icy steps. She kind of like, not broke, but kind of bruised her hip. But outside, besides us having kids,
Right.
never in a hospital.
Wow.
So after she got to be 97 or some 98, my sister was what she was living with my sister, and the kids were grown. She was alone in the house.
Right.
So my sister said, you know, we got to put you into kind of a retirement home. So if something happens, excuse me, something happens, at least you're taken care of.
Right.
And that nurse will come in. You want me to help you take a bath? I can do it myself. Don't you
Right.
dare.
Right.
And I saw her in, when was it? Oh, 10. Oh yeah, she said, too many old people around here. I said, Ma, you're 101. What do you think? No, I said, Ma, you're 110. Don't you call me 110, I'm only 101.
Only.
Oh. And then she wore no glasses,
Wow.
and I'm standing on the foot of the bed, and she says, you better trim your eyebrows, the hairs are getting too long. I said, Ma, 101, and you're laying down on the foot of the bed, and you tell me my eyebrows are too long? That's how good her eyesight.
Wow.
Oh, she was a pistol, all right.
Sounds like it. What kind of man was your dad? What was he like?
He had his funny side. I remember sitting around a table, all of us, and we're just telling stupid things, and everybody was just laughing their fool head off. But he was, I don't know, he didn't talk about the war. And sometimes with his friends he talked about the military, but he didn't go into too many things. I mean, he was mostly on the quiet side and things like that. But I remember before my dad passed away, it was in the spring of '74. I had a dream, my mom had a dream, my brother had a dream. We never talked about it until I was washing dishes. We didn't have a dishwasher, so I was washing dishes. I said, Ma, he says, I don't know if you believe it or not. He says, but I had a dream that my dad, Pop passed away. And she says, you know something, I had the same dream. This is about a month or so before, a month or 6 weeks before he passed away. And I says, you know, every spring I go out there and I had a little garden tractor with especially made for plowing. And we had an acre in the back of the house that was clear. And I plowed it up, then I disked it, and then I put these little spikes thing, and I dribbled. We used to put tomatoes and corn and everything out there. So I was making a pass. I had my eye, I usually fix my eye on a tree on the other end, and I just kind of aimed for it to keep a straight line. And I sort of veered off a little bit. So I looked back to see how my row was, and I see my dad standing over there, right at the very beginning, had a brown suede jacket with brown pants with thin little black stripes running there. He says, hey, so do I gotta get up out of my grave to tell you to make the first row straight? You know, then I turned around and he was gone.
Wow.
And after he passed away, he passed away in April 14th. In May, I went to Hawaii on a vacation. And never been to Hawaii, but there was like a dirt cheap, you know, it was like a travel agency. You know, they get so many people, you get a discount and everything like that. Cost me $600, round trip, hotel and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Try to get it today.
I know, that ain't gonna
Well,
happen.
anyway, up in Hawaii, I had another dream that I was riding my motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
I had an old Harley.
Okay.
I stopped at the cemetery, which was not too far away. I saw my dad over there.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yo, Pop, you want to lift home?" He said, "Okay." He hops on the back. We ride home. I park the bike. I go in the house. "Hey, Ma, Pop's out here." He was outside.
Right.
He had an axe in his hand, and he was chopping down this tree, which was maybe about 10 or 15 feet away from the house, on the side of the house.
Right.
And he's chopping it away. And I said, Pop, I said, "You know you got a bad heart." And he kind of looks at me like one of those looks, "You got to be kidding me," you know.
Uh-huh.
So I turned around, went to my mind, looked outside, he was gone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, a couple months later, we decided we're going to cut this tree down.
Right.
I mean, it looked healthy and everything. It was, good size.
Mm-hmm.
It found out that when we toppled it, it was rotten on the inside.
Wow.
You could not tell. There had a
Huh.
hole in it.
Yeah.
And about a month later, we had a good wind come along.
Uh-huh.
It was actually blowing from the side.
Mhm.
That tree would have went right on top
Wow.
of that house.
Isn't that weird, huh?
It's weird. It broke two branches and
Uh-huh.
everything like that. And I go, like a premonition.
Right.
Him out there chopping that exact tree.
Right.
And I said,
Man.
it's strange. She was a character. I mean, and it's just my.
When I gotta tell this one too, when I first met him, I don't speak Polish.
Uh-huh.
He says to me, "Never go over me, my mom."
Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
Don't tell that.
He said, she doesn't speak a whole lot of English.
Right.
She did. He said, the Polish word for grandma is dupa.
Uh-huh.
So I found it to her, I call her dupa. Kind of find out, dupa does not mean grandma, it means,
And she looks at me. "You put her up to this."
Yeah.
I said, "Ma, it's only a joke. I'll smack you across the face."
That's funny.
And I says, "Say Pani, Mrs. or Miss or something like that."
Right.
I go, "Oh, yeah. I thought it was going to be funny. But,
It's gonna backfire a little bit, isn't it?
Things always look better on paper.
I know, right?
yeah. But anyway, my sister writes me letters and stuff like that. My wife passed away in '06.
Mm-hmm.
She had, it was called Charcot-Marie-Tooth disease. It's named after the 3 doctors who discovered it. It's a form of muscular dystrophy.
Oh, okay.
Okay, when you're young,
Mm-hmm.
you don't feel it as much.
Right.
But as you get older, it progresses. And Pat went to college when she was 47 or 48 years old.
Wow.
The only one in her family graduated Wallace State in '92
Wow.
as an RN.
Cool.
Out of everybody in her family, she's the only one that went to
Wow.
college. And she worked as an RN for a couple of years, but the disease, she lost the muscles in her right here,
Right.
so she couldn't administer shots.
Oh.
And every time she would pick up a pen, she would have to go like this with 2 hands.
Right.
Because her fingers didn't work. So she had to go in disability after a while.
Right.
But she still continued to do hospice care and nursing home care and things like that. But she couldn't help the patient up
Right.
because the muscles in her back
Right.
started to go and this started to go. Then I asked the doctor, he says, "Well, it's a progressive disease.
Right.
It starts working on your heart on the end, which is a muscle."
Right.
And that's what it was, heart failure.
Right. Well.
And yeah, first time she went in the hospital was in '02. A year later, she's back in the hospital. Then it was 8 months. Then it was 6 months.
Right.
Then it was 3 months.
Just got closer
And
together.
it just got closer and closer together. And the last time there was in, she was in the hospital. She felt like tired or sick or whatever it was. She said, "I'm going to go see a doctor." It was on a Wednesday. And she said, "Okay." So doctor said, I'm going to put you in a hospital. So she was there Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. She said, boy, I feel great. She just felt so energetic. I said,
She was like a teenager.
Really?
Seriously.
up and at it. She just was so full of energy, felt so great, like whatever it was.
Gift from God.
Saturday afternoon, because okay, Pat, maybe I'll come back later and come and pick you up. I had to bring a wheelchair over to, take her everything. The next day she was going to get going because they were going to release her. Well, that night she had a heart attack. They revived her. She went into a coma and never recovered. Never recovered. They put her on a respirator, kept her there for about 3 days. Nothing. Developed pneumonia on top of that. So, and then she wrote a note. She says, I want my body, since being a nurse, to be donated for parts.
For parts.
For anybody else that can use, whatever. And for medical science. And there was, Baltimore had something it's called, something international, whatever it is, something where you donate whatever. We called up universities or whatever it is. Oh, well, yeah, but they didn't take whole bodies, and all that stuff. But we found this place up in Baltimore, and they said, yeah, okay, as long as nobody objects. But that was her will.
Right.
And we took her off the respirator on Thursday. Still alive, still going. Friday, still going.
Right.
Then they took her out of ICU, put her in a regular Saturday. She's unconscious.
Right.
But Sunday's still going. And then while we're trying to work out the deal with the international place, whatever it is, paperwork and all that thing, you sign this and sign that. It's just Monday all. We had to shuffle up paperwork and everything. The paperwork was done about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, our time, or 4 o'clock, Baltimore time. 2 hours later, she passed away.
Wow.
Quiet.
Wow.
They took her out of the hospital before she passed away. They put her in that Hansville nursing home. She was there 2 weeks. But that before she went to get the doctor checked, it was spring. It had a what they call it, crabapple tree growing right there in the sun. And it was huge. That thing would be touching the side of the walls here and spread out like a giant umbrella. Pink and white blossoms.
Right.
And they had the rhododendrons out there. She'd be out there washing dishes. She never said that before. Boy, doesn't that look pretty. Oh, I just love those flowers. And then when I brought her over from the nursing home, we parked out here this evening, it was a Friday evening, she says, leave the headlights on the car. I just want to look at the blooms of the rhododendrons.
Wow.
So I sat there for a few minutes, and I said, well, get up the next morning and you can go outside and look at the flowers. I was telling my neighbor next door, he was Catholic too, and the woman says, and it's amazing because people that sense something like that's going to happen, they notice these things, and I said, after she passed away, the tree started to die.
Aw, really?
It did. I had to cut about 3/4 of that tree
Wow.
off. There's very little left. It still blooms, but very little.
Right.
But all of that was on top,
Wow.
gone.
Weird.
It's weird.
Huh. Well.
He's a really, really good father. He was the kind of father that would allow you to go down the wrong path.
Right. It looks figured out.
It would be like, he calls me Monk. And it would be like, hey Monk, you going out tonight? Well, I don't have any money. Well, here's 20. This is in the 70s. Or about 80. Well, here's 20. No, that's okay. It's not enough. He somehow related to both Cheech and John. I'm telling you, this man, you gotta like, laugh at him at the same time. You gotta go like this.
Don't know what he's gonna say, huh?
That's exactly it. What is he gonna say? But my kids are crazy about him, and.
Well, how old were you when they got married?
I was still 14. Wasn't I?
Yeah, something like that.
But anyway, it's just weird, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he and I think we always got along.
Right.
But my mom was like the behave yourself, you do
Right.
this and that. Not strict,
Right.
but stern.
Right.
He, on the other hand, was like pretty smart.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, school sells candy bars. And
Right.
your parents end up selling them for you.
Right.
And they work in a factory. And so my mom, she's like, I'll take them, how much are they? And I said, $1 a piece. And she goes and she's selling them. And she comes back, your school's selling them for $1, but blah, 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 school's selling them for 50 cents.
Uh-huh.
And I just kept quiet. And he's over there. And so he's catching on. And my mother's like, Emma, when you hear that first name and you
Right.
that middle, you know it. She's like, how much were these candy? So I had to admit I was making 100% profit. And he's laughing his butt off.
He's going
saying,
brilliant.
yeah, he's like future entrepreneur.
Right.
He said, my mother drugged me to everybody she sold me,
And made
give
it-
the money back,
right,
and
it's
tell her
like-
what I did.
Yeah.
Hey,
He's a cool old guy.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, his family, seriously, his family they're all learners, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Just everything about them. But they're all so chill.
Really?
I mean, all of them are just like him,
Right. Huh.
except neither.
she was born in Palestine. She was a nurse and married to a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the doctor's, his name was Millerot, which his father, that I learned later,
Uh-huh.
was the founder of Muscular Dystrophy Telethon.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
And his father was, when I met him, when they first got married, like in 74,
Uh-huh.
he was old.
Wow.
They lived up, they had a little place up in Vermont, a little, right on Lake Champlain. You could look across and see Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But he was staying, I met him, and I later found out that their family traces back to the Pilgrims.
Wow.
So, and I was surprised that he was one of the Jerry Lewis's telethon.
Wow,
He was
yeah.
one of the doctors that went, because they were both neurologists.
Right.
But, you know, it just, she passed away in 99.
Mm-hmm.
They found some kind of a tumor. And then he passed away a couple years later after
Really?
that. About 4 years later, he passed away.
They have kids?
They had three girls. Yeah.
Wow. Well, how many brothers and sisters do you have? I
There
mean,
were 5 of us.
okay.
Mom tried to raise 5 of us.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, he's picking on, he hit
Yeah.
me. Oh, you hit me first. The typical, you know.
Right.
Oh, I've been called a lot of names. I've been called sheep herder,
Oh, yeah.
shepherd, goat shepherd,
Mhm.
camel driver, you know, and things like that, juju,
Right.
you know, things like that. And don't bother me in the least bit. It's like whatever you call me, it's a badge of honor.
Right. Oh, that's
Then I had people come up and say, "Oh, you've been born in Palestine? Yeah. Bless me, Father." I said, "Oh, you're blessed." Yeah, it was in a little town called Michigan,
Mhm.
which was a converted military barracks. And back of the barracks, I had trenches. I think I had some blown up bunkers,
Uh-huh.
and I still got a scar right here
Wow.
on my knee. We're running along. I thought it was a drainage ditch, you
Right.
know. We're running along. All of a sudden, I tripped,
Uh-huh.
and it was an old German helmet,
Mm-hmm.
rusted,
Right.
with the end sticking out. I tripped, and I caught
Oh,
that
man.
right here.
Wow.
I still got that little tiny little
Jeez.
scar on here.
Left a
I
mark.
said, well, it's a souvenir.
Yeah. Huh.
Then we used to go to the dump,
Mm-hmm.
which they had a dump not too far away, as kids. One guy found an old German pistol,
Mm-hmm.
and rusted and everything, but we played cowboys and Indians.
Right.
But we used to find bullets,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of bullets. And as kids, we didn't have any firecrackers.
Right.
So you can imagine what we did.
Yes.
We put a bunch of stones around there, dug a hole, put a bunch of stones, threw some twigs, lit it up, and threw the bullets in there, and then we hid in the ditch and hear them going off.
Wow.
I mean, that's the only,
That was entertaining, huh?
that was entertaining.
Wow.
We did some goofy things. I mean, stupid things.
So, I mean, was it like you see on TV when you see all like,
And most of it, if they see the old military barracks, which were converted
Right.
for displaced people, yeah, they were most, I could still see the guardhouses, you know, things like that. And you couldn't go here, you couldn't go there, and things like that. And,
Right.
And, you know, that it was, most people that went to town, as kids, we were just kept inside. Germans were fairly nice, if you could speak German, but I forgot. I knew a few words in German, but I forgot.
right.
Most of them. Arabic, I forgot. Maybe a few words. But, you know, it's just one of those things. And what was it? I still remember this. We were living in this one place. It was in Palestine, and that's where the Jews were fighting to, trying to get their independence.
Right.
And I still did remember the shots going in, guy coming out of the hole, pow, 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 and then ducking, and we were kids just standing there looking at each other.
Right.
You know, barbed wire across the roads, you know, where they had to go through.
Right.
And we were living in this one place, and I still remember this. The road kind of curved, and I remember because right across the street was like an airport, which was an airplane or two, and I used to love airplanes.
Right.
And down where the railroad track, there was a little station. And one morning you hear boom. Somebody blew it up.
Wow.
My father went running over there. Some woman was injured. He helped her out. They got an ambulance in. I tried to cross the street, but I wasn't wearing any shoes.
Right.
I stepped on the asphalt, right back in the house.
Yeah.
But I was going to go over there and help.
Right.
You know, but 3.5, maybe 3, or something like that.
Wow.
But they were, you know, no air conditioning in the
Right.
houses, but there was like a 2-story house, and the upstairs had an open, the bed went into a veranda in the back. I had a wall about that high that went all the way around,
Right.
and used to sleep outside
Yeah.
because it was cooler. You used to have to just sleep outside, you know, for whatever it was. Yeah, my family took to Pat like he was,
Really?
I mean, like glue.
Huh.
They took to her like I can use, but I'd rather not.
Yeah.
They are good people.
How did you meet her?
In work,
Oh, really?
all right, in work, you know, and stuff like that. I couldn't stand her. She had a '69 Ford LTD, or is it a Crown Vic, or whatever it was.
A big car?
And I had a GTO, a 70 GTO with a 455, fast.
Right.
And another guy, I don't know what it was, but we're going home on this, before it got all built up, this one little road, stretch of road, and we're having fun. He'd pass me, I'd pass him,
Right.
he'd pass me, I'd pass nobody. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning because we were looking overtime.
Right.
Now we're having fun. Doing about 60, not really, just 65.
Right.
That's as far as we can go. Because
Yeah.
the road is,
Right.
Then we see a pair of headlights in the back, gaining on us.
Uh-oh.
Here come the cops. We slow down. We look on the side and here's Pat. Whoa!
Smoked you.
90 miles an hour went past us. Next day in work, she says, "Boy, you think you're some hot crap."
Hot crap.
He says, "You couldn't even catch me." And we couldn't catch him because once we saw who it was,
Right.
we just forget it.
Yeah.
He said, "I'll show you how to drive fast." And she was only like 5'1",
Really?
5'2", 98 pounds.
Little bitty thing.
I go, yeah, all right. But I'll tell you one thing, she could bake.
Really?
Oh, she could bake some cakes. She made her own little, I don't know where she got it. She didn't get no box recipe. Somebody usually give it to her.
Right.
And the cake would have not just, it would have flavor,
Right.
the dough would have flavor, plus the icing on it.
Right.
Well, everybody was making comments. Everybody. I got more baking pans than I know what to do
Oh, I
with.
bet.
On the round one, square one, Santa Claus
Right. All
ones,
these-
deal ones.
Right.
Oh my God.
So what made you change your mind and decide you liked her?
I guess it's her cooking, or one time she invited me to her apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, because I used to, once in a while, I would go out to a fancy place, because I was living at home
Right.
with my mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no rent to pay. Maybe I gave my mom something for whatever.
Right.
But I said, you know, I went to this one place, I had something called duck à l'orange.
Mm-hmm.
So she looks up to see how to cook duck à l'orange.
Right.
She gets a duck.
Uh-huh.
I don't know where she gets a duck.
She got the duck.
And she baked me a duck all around. But she was slicing, you put orange slices of orange, and the
Uh-huh.
orange juice would blend in with the duck,
Right.
which was good. I don't know why you didn't eat it.
But she did good with it, huh?
Oh, she did fantastic with it. I said, "Ooh." She could cook.
Wow, that's cool. Well, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I need to know. Is that your parents right there in the middle there?
No, that's her
Her
parents.
parents. Cool.
That's her parents.
Hmm.
That's about it. You know, it just.
We're just blessed to have them.
But then,
Yeah.
and then we were up to her aunt's house. It was up in Muscle Shoals,
Right.
whatever it was. They lived up in Baltimore.
Mm-hmm.
Decided they were going to retire. They're living up there. But she's still up and around, and,
Right.
you know. And she went out somewhere, and old Sarah, I was sitting around outside on the porch, and she says to me, "What is it between you two guys, you and Pam? You seem like you're inseparable.
All right.
You know, she sticks up for you, you stick up for her.
Right.
You know, she helps you any way you can,
Uh-huh.
and you help her any way you can."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there, I thinking, I said, "Sarah, you know something? I can't figure it out myself.
Right.
There is no one or two or three or four or time, anything particular.
Right.
It just
You
is.
just click.
It just is. It's supernatural.
Right.
And I have no explanation
Right.
for it. And there are other people that on her side do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Right.
And we don't know. We just don't know.
Well, that's neat. I think y'all just clicked. Meant to be.
Yeah, it just, I don't know what it was. It just meant to be, and that's all there was to it. And
Hmm.
I'm glad it everything just worked out fine.
Right.
Because a lot of fine memories.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, he's a good old guy.
Yeah, he is. Well, I was gonna say, can I take your picture someplace?
You want to take him home?
Ah, do I look pretty enough to take a picture?
Yeah.
Let me see if my hair is, I just washed it and maybe flying away. Okay, where do you want me to sit?
Just go ahead. You can just sit in that chair. I think that'll be good.
All right,
Are you ready? I'm gonna take 2 or 3 just to make
all
sure.
right.
Okay. Here we go.
A man once told me, this was back in, I don't know how long it was, I worked at this one place, and this personnel director named Ray Sally, a big, heavy set man.
Uh-huh.
He's probably dead by now. But as I was, me and him, I left the company to go into business for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I was walking by, and I must have been about like from here to where our window is in the
Mhm.
back. And he's standing there, and me and him walk down, and he says, "Hey," he says, "in business and in life," he said, "treat others the way you would like to be treated."
Right.
I stopped, I turned around, I said, And I thought this was a dog-eat-dog world, you know. He says, yeah, it may be, but give it a try.
Right.
Because if it don't work,
Right.
try it on an experimental basis.
Right.
Try it for 30 days or 90 days.
Yeah.
If it don't work,
Uh-huh.
you can go back to what you were doing
Right.
before because you got 20 years of experience
Exactly.
there.
Exactly.
And I did try it.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you, it works wonders.
Yeah.
Because, give you an example, I was working on a project. We were making some electronic parts.
Right.
And they were supposed to be delivered, I was working for another guy in a machine shop. And they were supposed to be done Friday morning.
Right.
Little electronic cases, whatever
Right.
it was. Well, the job that I was working on took longer. So the woman called up about Wednesday.
Right.
And she asked about the job. Is it going to be ready by Friday? And I says, well, I'm just getting finished on this, and about 1 o'clock I'm going to start. And I'm going to have to work till midnight every night.
Right.
And I don't guarantee you it's going to be done by Friday.
Right.
You know, maybe Friday afternoon. And if I make one mistake, I got to start all over.
Right.
Because I'll be tired and everything like that. So I said, how about I could probably have it to you Monday,
Right.
you know, give it to, she said, thank you for telling me this.
Right.
Because I have a rush job. It needs to be done right now,
Right.
right? So it's going to go into all Friday, and it's going to get done Friday night, and then Monday morning, we can start on yours.
Right.
And that's the way it worked out. I told her the truth.
Right.
Thank you for telling me this.
Yes. Yeah.
And I said, paid off.
Yeah.
Took the pressure off of me, took the pressure off of her.
Exactly. Yeah. And plus, you just explain what was happening. And,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it usually work things out if you just kind of tell people what's going on, and you know.
And they appreciate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just.
Well, all right. Well, I think I'll let y'all get back to what y'all are doing. I appreciate y'all letting me come over and talk to you. And
I wouldn't mind if it's possible for Sharon to put it like on a DVD or something.
okay.
And then my kids will have forever your voice.
Right.
Yeah, I still remember my dad taking me down to the Dead Sea and go swimming.
Wow.
Things like that. Still got a picture of me, my mom, my sister, you know. And
Uh-huh.
I got a thing, we used to go swimming in the Dead Sea.
Wow.
Yeah, that was fun. Dad still had pictures of that he took over there. He had Pilot's Home and pictures of Gethsemane and
Wow.
my sister probably got a whole collection of those things somewhere. The Franciscan monastery
Uh-huh.
in Jerusalem,
Mhm.
and they had this beautiful, beautiful altar.
Mhm.
You know, that it was like a showplace with that spiral columns going up sky high with
Wow.
a beautiful canopy over
Yeah.
it, and this beautiful altar,
Uh-huh.
you know, inlaid with almost gold and everything canvas.
Wow.
It was like you walk in. That was the centerpiece. Was
Man.
that altar. I'm
Wow.
like, I still had a picture of that.
Well, if people pay good money to go see that kind of stuff, you
And
know,
there
when
was
you
one-
grew up.
There was one in Washington D.C. I remember those seeing it
Uh-huh.
because we were in an altar boy society, and they
Mhm.
took us down to Washington, and then we stopped at the Franciscan monastery,
Mhm.
and they all had that.
Sounds
It's
neat.
something you got to see.